Hello human beings, Power Gamer here, and have you ever seen something so bad you wonder what motivated it to come into existence? You question the meaning of life, and wonder what the point of even going on is, knowing that you live in the same plane of existence as it. Something that sends you on a journey, that changes you, not for the better, but for the worse. Something that makes you completely unable to see the world in a positive way ever again, because the universe created this unholy being and spawned it onto all living things. I haven't, but I really hate Bubsy.
Bubsy. What do you want me to say? If you've been active on the gaming side of the internet for the last decade, you've probably seen at least one person bash this series, and for good reason. It sucks. But where did this infamous animal come from?
Hell.
The game was designed by Michael Berlin, a former employee of the company Infocom who had designed text-based adventure games like Alter Destiny and Less Manly. He left the company after being burnt out from the genre, and then discovered the original Sonic the Hedgehog. He played it for 14 hours a day for an entire week, and decided to make his own version of that type of game. Development for the game began in 1991, but it had to be delayed because of legal issues with Sega. I wonder if that's why the cartridge looks so weird. The team consisted of over 20 people, and they wanted to make a game as fast as Sonic and as deep as Mario. Bubsy himself was designed to be similar to Looney Tunes characters. The game was finally released for the SNES and Genesis in 1993 under the title of Bubsy: Claws Encounters of the Furred Kind.
Ugh, get used to those.
The game was actually well received by a lot of critics at the time of its release, but that praise did not last long. It sold somewhat well, but it wasn't exactly huge. Despite this, the game managed to get a sequel released on the same consoles, another sequel released on the Atari Jaguar for some reason, and
Oh my god! Take it away! 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 As I said before, pretty much everyone has bashed the series at one point or another, but I have a personal hatred for this bobcat bastard. I've hated the series ever since I found out about it, and it only got worse when I finally played it for myself. But I never got very far in the game, so who knows, maybe it actually gets better as it goes along. I highly doubt it, but sadly there's only one way to know for sure. Either way, it's time I finally face this game head on.
What could possibly go wrong?
I'm not gonna make that joke. Everybody makes that joke.
you want to know the story of this game? A group of aliens called the Woolies set out to steal Earth's yarn balls as it's the source of their life. After using their fiber optic yarnoscope, they discover Bubsy Bobcat's enormous yarn stash, and twin queens of the Woolies, Polly and Esther, send their minions to steal it. Now Bubsy has to get his yarn back and stop them.
That's it.
When you start the game, it actually looks kind of promising. The graphics hold up pretty well for a game released in 1993. It's bright, it's colorful, there's a decent amount of detail, and Bubsy has a surprising number of animations, all of which are very well done. It's actually a good-looking game, and the music... it's music. It's nothing special, but it's not terrible. But when we get to the actual gameplay, things start to go downhill. It's a side-scroller, so the goal is to just get to the end of the level, which is represented by this giant yarn ball, obviously. Bubsy can jump, and he can pounce. They're literally the exact same thing, but jump is higher. Seriously, why did they make this two separate actions? He can also glide if you hold down the pounce button. Why can a bobcat glide? Beats me. He can also run by building up speed similarly to Sonic. The game's design is pretty much trying to combine the dense platforming levels of Mario with the high-speed gameplay of Sonic.
And you're probably thinking, that couldn't work, and you're absolutely right, it doesn't.
These levels do not feel like they're designed for this sort of gameplay. You'll just be running along, trying to gather speed, and then all of a sudden you'll be bombarded with enemies from high and low. And as you're doing this, you discover the game's fundamental flaw. What absolutely ruins this game and causes it to be completely unenjoyable. You die in only one hit. One hit! The game acts like it wants you to move at high speeds, but doing that is a death wish since you never know when an enemy will show up in front of you. And that brings me to this game's other biggest problem. The camera is way too close, and you can barely see what's around you. So even when you're taking it slow, there's always the chance you could be hit by something you couldn't see until it was too late. You can hold down a button and scroll the screen to look around, but it doesn't help much. And even with that, there's a lot of moments where you have to make leaps of faith, and at least 75% of them result in death. Speed wasn't the only thing this game took from Sonic, though. The level levels have a lot of branching pathways you can take to reach the end, but the difference is Sonic rewarded you for exploring with extra lives and power-ups. Bubsy, all you really find are more things that kill you. Seriously, pretty much everything in this game kills you. Enemies, random objects, things that look like they're in the background. This game even has fall damage if you don't glide. Why the hell would you put fall damage in a 2D platformer? There are a couple of power-ups you can find, but they're pretty rare. This black shirt makes it so you pass through enemies, and this white shirt gives you a shield which destroys enemies. Another big issue with this game is the controls are just awful. Your momentum can switch between barely moving and flying in the next direction in a matter of seconds. And if you're on a slant of any kind, you'll start slipping down and it makes your jumping nearly worthless. I get being on a slant making you slide down a bit, but this is ridiculous. It's nearly impossible to control. The only way I can see you enjoying this game is by trying to find all the death animations Bubsy has, of which there's a lot. He can just fall over, get squished, deflate, get split in half, and did he just melt? Did he just melt from touching a basic enemy? Really? I know I complained about Sonic having unpredictable garbage, but I might have to rethink that statement because this is insane! So many of my deaths came from things that were off-screen. Whether it be jumping into enemies, landing on top of instant death hazards, or being shot at from outside the camera.
Oh, come on! You've gotta be kidding me!
This game is just non-stop bullshit. It constantly throws things at you and expects you to deal with it. This is not how you make a game fun. It just makes it infuriating. Combination of not being able to see what's ahead and the fact that you die in only one hit makes this game a goddamn nightmare. What the fuck?
How was I supposed to avoid that? How? What?
The game's not that long, thankfully, but it's gonna take you ages since you keep dying over and over from shit you can't see coming. Bubsy has 9 lives, because of course he does, but trust me when I say you'll go through them fast. There are some extra lives, but they're really uncommon, and when you get a game over, it sends you all the way back to the beginning of the game. Thankfully, there's a password section on the main menu, and every level has its own password, so you can just enter the one for the level you died in. And if you think this is cheating, the game literally gives you the password for every 3rd level, so if I can use those, I can use the rest of them too. Thank you, Internet. If I had to restart the entire game every time I lost all my lives, I would go absolutely ape. But you wanna know what I hate most about this game? It's not that the camera is too close to you, it's not the awful controls, it's not even the one-hit deaths. It's Bubsy himself. I hate this son of a bitch. Every level opens with him giving some terrible quip, and none of them are even remotely funny.
More like a bridge too short. Doesn't that be fearless? Uh-oh. Well, it worked for Clint.
Hell, some of them don't even make sense.
Hey, I thought I saw Elvis back there.
And the worst part about them is, they never change. You hear the same one every single time you die for each level.
Next time, I get a stunt cat. Is there a veterinarian in the audience?
If we're lucky, no.
He also makes the smug face when he stands idle, and it's just aggravating. He looks like that creepy dude who's always checking people out on the subway. Another thing I really hate about this game is all the moments where it throws these water slide things at you. You have almost no control when you're on them, and you have no idea where they go. There are many, many times where getting in one can cause you to die, either because they spit you right into an obstacle, or they make you die from fall damage because you can't glide after them. God, I fucking hate this game! And I know what you're thinking. Oh, you couldn't make a game much better than this. Yeah, guess what? I'm not the one who made this game and then sold it in stores. They charged money for this, and you'd be better off buying scratch tickets than buying this game. Every time you die, you get sent back to your last checkpoint, which are these giant exclamation points. There's a bunch of yarn balls everywhere, which is this game's version of coins, rings, and bananas. But the main difference is those gave you an extra life for collecting 100. These give you an extra life for collecting 500. 500? Really? I never got that many even once. There is one thing I actually like about this game, though. When you die, the enemies you killed don't respawn, so once you kill an enemy, it's dead for good. This means there's always a benefit to killing them, since if you die, you don't have to deal with them again unless you get a game over. I guess I'll just get to the levels. There's 16 levels total, and it switches themes every 3 levels. First up is this grassy town area. The first 2 levels honestly aren't that bad, but level 3 is when things get really frustrating since you never know when you'll fall into water. Next up is a carnival. You have to fight killer hot dogs and jump over and over to avoid slipping down these coaster tracks. Oh, son of a Oh, hold on, wait, what?
Wait, so the hot dog kills me, but the ice cream doesn't? Yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter.
And when you ride a roller coaster, jump out of it before it reaches the end, otherwise it'll kill you. And please tell me I'm not the only one who thinks that's a pile of shit. And the third carnival level is a fucking maze where you have to go in the correct doors and it takes forever. Next area is a desert. All 3 levels start out on a train and then you hop into the canyon. I don't know why it does this, but at least after the train you don't hear Bubsy's quips, which makes this my favorite area in the game. Along the way you have to avoid cacti, gunslinging gophers, giant meatballs, and whatever the hell these things are. After that you wind up in this beach area, which is once again filled with water that results in instant death. You've gotta be kidding! Oh, wait, huh?
Wait, how did I survive that? You know what? I don't care.
The levels also have you take specific paths to get to the exit, which is kind of annoying. Finally is the forest area. These levels suck. There are so many leaps of faith and way too many moments where enemies just come right out of nowhere. I hate these levels. Fuck them! Every area ends with a boss, and they are hands down the worst part of the entire game. Aside from the insufferable protagonist, they're all pretty much the exact same thing. Jump in the air, glide to try and land on the UFO, and hope to God that you don't get hit. That's it. That's how every single one of them goes. You either get them immediately or it takes forever. I beat almost all of them with only 1 life left. It sucked. Think you're done, right? Nope, there's one final level inside the woolly ship.
Well, are you still playing this thing?
Don't remind me.
This level alone took me over an hour. It is absolutely miserable. There are so many moments where you have to just rush through and hope for the best. There are so many f***ing enemies that attack you from all over the place. And then we get to this part. This part right here is the worst part of the entire f***ing game. You have to jump to higher platforms and kill the enemies that shoot at you without getting hit. It's a nightmare! It is so hard to get the timing down perfectly, and it is complete and utter bullshit. I literally got to this part with 8 lives left, and I lost all of them on the first enemy alone. Fuck this part, fuck this level, and fuck this game! If enemies respawned after death, I don't think I'd ever be able to get through this. Once you do, you finally come face to face with Polly and Esther.
Ugh.
And surprise, it's just like all the other boss fights. Jump, glide, and get lucky. After many attempts and lots of tears, I finally beat these
Oh, don't you talk to me like that, you son of a bitch. I'm the one who did all the work because you're made of tissue paper. You!
Bubsy hops in a limo, the game is finally over, and I never have to play it again. Thank God.
Game conquered. Bubsy is not a good game. The controls are terrible, the level design is awful, and the fact that you die in just 1 hit makes it insanely frustrating. It is just not fun to play. Don't play this game. There are much better things you could do with your time. Go for a walk, hang out with friends, join the pyramid scheme. I do that myself, but unfortunately, they're never very accepting of my ideas.